Yeah, why don't we go ahead and throw up this banger from Kyle? Kyle was not the most unfriendly guy towards Andrew Yang for the longest time. Him and Crystal both. I thought they were pretty tight with the guy. One of our first big videos I remember, maybe not first big videos, but like one of our early bigger videos that I remember, like we put out like the night of, was like Crystal like really kind of coming down on Andrew Yang for his comments that he'd made about like Palestine or something. And they like really fucking hammered his balls. But other than that, I remember them. They were basically they were always like super charitable to the guy. So I just want to give that as a little bit of disclaimer before we go into just how he fucking just rakes him over the coals right here. So Andrew Yang has this glorious tweet: Kyrsten Sinema joining the nearly 50% of Americans who are declared independent is a sign of things to come. So this is something I actually didn't know. We can start here, Gavin. Did you know that nearly half of the fucking country was independent? I did not know this fun fact.
I have heard statistics to that effect. So I wasn't specifically familiar with the 50% number, but I have heard statistics that basically illustrate a similar idea, that about half the country identifies as independent, or rather they don't identify as Democrat or Republican.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought it would have been way less than that. My brain, if you would ask me, I would have said, I don't know, like 32. So I guess that's, better than I thought, but probably for a myriad of reasons, not with any kind of like cohesion to why they're independent of the two parties. But anyway, this kind of plays off the fact that Kyrsten Sinema, just right after, shocker, Raphael Warnock secures his Senate seat in Georgia, Kyrsten Sinema decides that she just can't be a Democrat anymore. She just has to be an even bigger thorn in the side. She has to be the center of attention again. She knows she can't survive a Democratic primary. So she just, drops the nuke on everybody and decides to re-register as a Democrat. She's still keeping all of her committee assignments. I imagine she'll still largely caucus with the Democrats, but now she gets to see her name in the fucking newspaper every time she holds up some deeply necessary piece of legislation to give any kind of minimum relief to the American working people. She and her glitz and glam and designer clothes can, withhold things like child tax credit extensions or, meaningful infrastructure or any number of things that the Democrats, dangle in front of the desperate as a reason to vote for them. So anyway, did you have any thoughts on that, Gavin?
Just totally ridiculous, and it really illustrates how shallow Andrew Yang's analysis of the duopoly is, and how shallow his understanding of politics in general is. And it's really just a further example of him kind of fetishizing the concept of being an independent at expense of any sort of an understanding of the substantive politics that really matter. It doesn't matter what you call yourself or how you identify if your politics are that of corporations and of centrism. Then it doesn't really fucking matter what you call yourself. I mean, if Donald Trump started calling himself an independent, would Andrew Yang come out here and give him a fucking sloppy blowjob? Probably not, right? Because he understands that Donald Trump's policies are bad, right? That's what matters. So I don't give a fuck how you identify. I care about the policies, and to just fetishize independence at the expense of said substance, I think really is just indicative of Andrew Yang's entire approach, his entire understanding and vision of the forward party.
Absolutely. And then Kyle over here comes in with a fucking slam dunk, a real cleanup job. Serious question. Will you endorse her too now? All right, mild. You endorsed other corrupt frauds like Lisa Murkowski and Evan McMullin because they claimed the mantle of moderate and independent thinker. You're pretty obsessed with goofy, vapid self-labels. Oof, ouch. Claws coming out, Kyle. I'm hoping that we get to see a response from Andrew Yang, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it. Let's check to make sure Yang didn't reply. Nope, doesn't look like it. Here's a frequent watcher of our show replying, but what's up, Tyler? But yeah, I'm not seeing any response from Andrew Yang, which makes sense. Andrew Yang doesn't usually like to engage much with his critics for obvious reasons. He's a fucking dunce. But yeah, I think Kyle really hit the nail on the head here. And this is also a great point from Kyle that the candidates he endorsed, Lisa Murkowski, Evan McMullin, these kind of corporate Democrat, Republican, and independent candidates, they don't represent any sort of a challenge to the status quo in a serious way. Just slapping an I next to your fucking name as a senator does not mean that you will in any way seriously resist power, in any way seriously resist either of the two parties. What it really means in the case of people like Lisa Murkowski or Kyrsten Sinema now is that they just care more about their corporate donors than they do about the agenda of their party. So if Kyrsten Sinema wants to vote in favor of the corporations rather than some bill that the Democrats are working on, then she wants to be able to do that without feeling like she's stepping on the toes of party leadership because, nope, now I'm an independent. It's not out of a serious principled disagreement with the agenda of her party. It's more just an excuse to, one, avoid a primary from within the Democratic Party, and two, just to do whatever the fuck her donors tell her to with no regard whatsoever for said agenda.
100%, 100%. It's all, and it's also going to be about her collecting a fat back end after she gets out of office. She's going to go get a cushy job, and she's going to make a fuck ton of money, and she's going to basically collect on all of the favors that she did while she was in public service. It's a fucking racket. But anyway, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought that was pretty funny. And again, Kyle just totally going knives out against Andrew Yang. He doesn't seem to have much. He doesn't seem to have much respect for Yang anymore. At one point, Andrew Yang was someone that Kyle Kulinski took seriously and seemingly thought highly of. I even remember Kyle saying that he hopes that Andrew Yang runs again in 2024 if there's no Bernie Sanders-esque candidate that's going to do it. He was like, well, Andrew Yang would be better than fucking Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Pete Buttigieg, and maybe he still believes that. But you definitely don't see him singing this guy's praises much anymore. And again, this comment from Yang is just so illustrative of his understanding of the duopoly and his faulty prescriptions to the problems facing our democracy. Because if you take this to the logical extent, it's basically just like, it doesn't matter what you vote for. It doesn't matter how you behave as a representative. It doesn't actually matter what your ideology is. All that matters is this kind of like fake, faux resistance or faux independence. Oh, I'm so special. I'm not like these other partisans. I'm an independent. Like, well, who fucking cares what you are? Who fucking cares what you are? It matters what you vote for, and how you actually conduct yourself as a representative of the people. And we know how Kyrsten Sinema conducts herself. She conducts herself as a total fucking tool of corporate America. Also, I have to remind you guys of this tweet from a couple months ago now. Another example of Andrew Yang just fetishizing the concept of being independent at the expense of any sort of policy substance. You guys might remember this one. Yang said, Lincoln won the presidency on the brand new Republican ticket in 1860 with 39.8% in a four-way race. He took a Democrat, Andrew Johnson, as his running mate in 1864. Wow, what a fucking profound statement, Andrew. And John Legend, actually, of all people, just ratioed him in the most brutal and legendary fashion at the time, saying, my brother, you have to keep reading. What happened next? And like I said, just absolutely ratioed the fuck out of him. Followed that one up with, you're almost there. It's probably on the next page. Which again, this was so illustrative of Andrew Yang's very shallow and faulty understanding, or rather misunderstanding, of what it really means to be independent and the value of being independent. Because obviously anyone with even a cursory understanding of American history and politics knows that Andrew Johnson was a disastrous pick for vice president who succeeded Lincoln by basically trying to undo a lot of the reforms that happened under Lincoln's presidency, and ultimately was impeached. I think he was the first president to be impeached. So this is just such a dumb fucking point, such an obviously stupid thing to say as someone who's promoting the concept of kind of I guess Andrew Johnson wasn't an independent, he was a Democrat, but his point is that, like, oh, maybe the two parties should just like put all this partisanship aside and unite on the issues that matter, and then brings an example that proves the exact fucking opposite. Basically, this example would have been brought up as a good way to like respond or to criticize Andrew Yang's not ideology, not to prove his point.
Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. I forgot all about that shit. It's yeah, Andrew Johnson maybe on the short list. All of our Andrew presidents, fuck them. They're all rotting in hell. Some of the worst ever. But yeah, I mean that yeah, it was literally a failed effort to fucking save the country from civil war, tapping Andrew Johnson, and then it was like a historical disaster. And yeah, you know, anyway. Not the chess move that fucking Andrew Yang was illustrating it to be.